Hello and welcome to My Way or the AI Way. I'm Scott Davison. I'm on a mission to master AI, and I'm using this podcast to document my journey and share what I'm learning. Now, this week's challenge has been to look into the area of website design and to answer the question, can you build a website with AI in 2025? So if you're looking to build a website and wondering how AI can be used for that, or if you're just wanting to get a bit of a snapshot of the current landscape and see some of the options that are currently available, then this is the episode for you. Let's get into it. So before we look at how to build a website, I guess firstly, let's ask, do you still need a website in 2025? As we've discussed previously on the show, website traffic overall is dropping for the first time ever in the history of the internet. And there are certainly quite big businesses or entrepreneurs today who are running their businesses without a website, but they're in the minority. And for the majority of businesses, even today, a website is still a really important channel for building trust and authority. And of course, it's important to have a channel you own, like your website, as opposed to just running your business on third-party channels, social media platforms where they can change the rule at any time. So absolutely, for the majority of businesses, a website's still a really important tool. But how has that changed with a lot of this AI technology that's now available? Now, personally, I haven't yet created a website for this podcast, for instance. I haven't really needed one, but I've now reached a point where it'd be nice to have a bit of a website to point people to where they can find out a bit more about the show, maybe get in touch with me, and also a base I can use to add resources, maybe the occasional blog post. So I'm approaching this challenge from two perspectives. Firstly, for a typical business, what are the options available today? How can AI be used? And then from my own personal perspective, what's the best solution for me for the very basic website that I'm looking to set up for this podcast? Some context, I guess. I'm definitely not a web designer, but I've got quite a bit of experience in the past developing websites, managing websites for lots of different companies across different industries. My very first job, when I was still at uni as an intern, was to build a website. Back then I was using Microsoft Front Page, and I've watched it evolve from that point on with different tools coming onto the market. So whilst I'm definitely not an expert, I've probably got a lot more experience with websites than the typical marketer or business owner. But that can be a good thing and a bad thing, because when you do have a lot of experience in something, the temptation often is to just do things the way you've always done it. So my challenge, of course, at the moment is to think AI first and to look into how this task can be performed better, or if it can be performed better using AI. So my first port of call at the moment, as always, is ChatGPT. So I went to ChatGPT to ask that question. Here it is. If you're looking, I'll show you the very quick question I asked, including a typo. Do you think it's possible to build a website using ChatGPT? And first answer I get, of course, is yes, it's absolutely possible to build a website using ChatGPT. Here's how you do it: planning, strategy, content creation. I can help with all these stages. Now, this is typical of ChatGPT. It doesn't like to say no, but if you read this answer, it's actually saying, yes, I can build a website, but I can help you with all the different stages. It can't actually manage the whole process for you. Interestingly, I've went back to the version of ChatGPT I'm using more often at the moment, which is O3. This is their reasoning model. And I find it to be a lot more nuanced in its responses. You tend to get a more balanced view. It takes a bit longer because it does some thinking, but I asked the same question, the exact same prompt to O3. Do you think it's possible to build a website using ChatGPT? And here's the answer it provided. Short answer, yes, you can absolutely lean on ChatGPT to help build a website, but how practical that is depends on what sort of site you have in mind, your own technical comfort level, and how happy you are to tinker. So it sort of shows me here what it's good at, but also where it struggles. And the thing it still struggles with in terms of ChatGPT is all the complex back-end logic and some of the nuances of actually building the website. So if we go back to these steps that it's suggested for building a website, basically it can help with every stage of this process. And this is pretty much the process I've used since forever. When building a website, you start with a plan. I usually do the design direction next and then content creation, and then you go about building it. So I want to show you firstly how ChatGPT can help with every stage of the web development process. Let's start with planning and strategy. Now, for this example, I've gone back to the fictional business I've been using in previous episodes, which is my gluten-free donut business, WTF Donuts. And I've asked ChatGPT to help me write a website plan for WTF Donuts. And you can see it's very quickly come up with a pretty good template, the goal, the target audience, the proposed site structure, some of the key messaging, and the call to action. So they're all the things you would need in a website plan, and it's created that for me in seconds with one prompt. So much quicker than the old way of doing things. I've then asked it to go ahead and create a wireframe diagram of the website. So this is typically the next phase in the process where you get a sort of diagram laying out the structure of the website. And again, it's done a really good job of creating a sort of traditional wireframe to sort of show you how the website could look, the various menu items, etc. Very quick to do that. And the final stage in the design process is to then get a designer to do a mock-up of what it might look like. And again, this was really quick to do with ChatGPT. If you're watching this, you can see. If not, I'll share the link to the YouTube video if you want to check it out. But pretty professional mock-up of a WTF Donut website with pictures, with imagery, and with all the sort of copy in place. So you could show that to someone to show them exactly what you want your website to look like. It also created a product page here showing what the e-commerce section of the website would look like with pictures of donuts and the ability to order them. So really good at doing the wireframes and the design mock-ups using ChatGPT. But ultimately, the next step is you need to go and build that website. And this is where ChatGPT needs to hand off to some of the other tools that are available. So if you're looking to build a website, today in 2025, the landscape is still pretty similar to how it's been in terms of there's different options available for you based on your requirements, your budget, and your technical capabilities. So at the high end, you've got your traditional bespoke builds where you would need to use a web designer, and they would be using Sitecore or Ruby Rails or some of the other programs out there, or a mix of programming languages to build a bespoke website for you. Obviously, that's the most powerful, the most flexible, and the most customizable, but also the most expensive option. You then have open source CMS builders. WordPress is the market leader there, has been for a long time. I think it's at least 40% of the world's websites are still run on WordPress. So it's a really solid open source platform, but you do need a certain level of technical skills to be able to use it. Then you have these all-in-one SaaS builders, so the all-in-one solutions which come with your hosting and your web design tool all baked into one. And Squarespace and Wix are good examples of this. Even Shopify in the e-commerce space is sort of one of these types of solutions. Squarespace and Wix are quite popular, particularly with smaller businesses. They've been growing. I think it's maybe 10% of sites are now on these sort of all-in-one solutions. They're designed to be very easy to use. They're all template-based, and the idea is you can build your website yourself. But obviously, the downside of that is you get a little less control, a little less flexibility, and you're kind of bundled in with that particular provider. You can't just take that website and move it to a different host. And now there's a fourth category, I guess, of solutions popping up, which are these AI-assisted builders. So I've found quite a few examples of this: Framer AI, Durable, Wix. In fact, a lot of those all-in-one builders are now offering AI-assisted builders as well. And this is where they claim that that AI can build the whole website for you. Effectively, what it's doing, from what I've seen from playing around a little bit with these and watching a few demos, is it's effectively still using a all-in-one template-based website, but you can use prompts or natural language to ask it to create a custom template for you. And it'll write the copy, it'll create the images, and it'll put that into a website. But it's still a template-based website that you would then need to go in and tweak yourselves. So it comes with the same limitations as the all-in-one websites, in that you have less control, less flexibility, and less ability to highly customize the website. Plus, once again, you're kind of locked in with that provider. So I think these all-in-one solutions definitely make sense for some businesses, but most larger businesses still need the flexibility and the control that comes with either a bespoke build or perhaps an open source WordPress solution. And unless you have the resources internally, you'll probably still be using a web developer to help you with that task. Again, AI will be helping you at every stage of the process in terms of writing your brief, in terms of writing the copy, and whatever web developer you're using will almost certainly be using AI to write a lot of the code. But at this stage, for most websites, you still need a human involved, someone with the technical skills to piece all the pieces together, to upload it to the server and to go in and manage it for you. And I think that will continue to be the case for quite a while. So can AI build a website for you? Well, yes, it can, a simple website. But for most businesses, the answer is probably no, not entirely. AI can assist you with the process, but it won't do the whole thing for you. So I think this is one example in terms of web developers and the web development industry where what we're seeing is more of an evolution, unlike some of the examples I've looked at in previous episodes. So designers for logo creation, copywriting, market research. These are now tasks that can be done almost entirely with just ChatGPT, and you'll get 90% of the same result. So they're really replacing humans in a lot of cases. I think the landscape here in terms of web design and web development, there's still a lot of human involvement for most businesses. There's still very much a role for professional web developers, but obviously AI is being used to make them far more efficient, and AI is being used on the client side to help with briefs, mock-ups, etc. So good news for web developers out there. I think there's still a role for you for the foreseeable future. And for my website needs, having looked into the options, I'll be sticking with WordPress in my case. I like the flexibility and the control that comes with WordPress, and I like the ability to just add plugins as and when I need them. So I guess I'll still be doing it my way in this case, but I'll be using AI throughout the process, and it's going to make it a lot more efficient and faster. Now, I haven't actually built this website yet. I kind of went down this rabbit hole the last couple of days looking into all the different AI solutions, but I'll be getting it live in the next few weeks, and I'll let you know once it's live so you can go and check it out. And if you have any questions or if you need a hand with your website, feel free to get in touch. Okay, that's it for today. That's a quick fire episode, just looking at the current landscape of web design and web development with all the AI changes that are going on. I hope you found that episode useful. If you did, as always, please give the show a like, share it with your friends, and comment below if you've got any questions or feedback. I'd love to hear it. Until next week, thank you for joining me on this journey to learn more about AI. I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.